Review of different voice evacuation messages. Simplest 4100U voice evacuation message. This message is by far one of my least favorite. It asks for attention 3 times when the blaring slow whoop siren before the message should have already gotten your attention. And it also says an emergency has been reported, but doesn't specify which kind of emergency it is. I've also noticed it says all occupants walk to the nearest stairway exit and walk down to your assigned re-entry floor or main lobby. Do not use the elevator. Walk to the nearest stairway. Do not use the elevator. Walk to the nearest stairway. Like, it doesn't even mention that you should leave the building, and it just says to use the stairs and not the elevator way too many times. Simplest 4100 ES voice evacuation message. This one is better than the simplest 4100U message, in my opinion, as it says there is a fire emergency in the building. You are to leave the building by the nearest exit or exit stairway. Do not use the elevator. It doesn't ask for attention 3 times. It mentions it is specifically a fire emergency. It doesn't constantly repeat the part about using the stairs and not the elevators. And it's just more straightforward, which I definitely prefer in a voice evacuation message. Simplest MXL voice evacuation message. This one is the one that many people believe was used in the Twin Towers in the original WTC, but actually it wasn't used, and the slow loop that precedes this message is the only thing that was used. This message has a pause in a certain spot as it says, please leave the building by the nearest exit. Do not use the elevators. Which I know is from the fact that this message is quite old and 2 different tapes were used to record this message and piece it all together, but I still find it a bit weird that there's a pause at that one part. I also know in one form of this message, the "May I have your attention please, may I have your attention please" part was spoken by a female voice actress, and the rest was spoken by a male voice actor, which I found pretty nice. Main EST voice evacuation message. The main EST voice evacuation message is actually pretty useful, as it says, please cease operations and leave the building utilizing the nearest exit or fire exit stairway. Do not use elevators. Repeat, do not use elevators, as it is important for you to stop everything you're doing, shut down any cooking appliances, and leave the building as quickly as possible. I believe this message is perfect in terms of functionality and is one of the ones I prefer to hear in a public voice evacuation system. Alternate EST voice evacuation message. There is an alternate EST message which says, there has been an emergency reported in the building. Leave the building immediately using marked stairways and exits. Do not use elevators. Now this one does leave out some of the information the main message included, which I do not like as it brings the functionality of this version down. Silent Night voice evacuation message. The script on this one, attention please, there has been a report of an emergency. Proceed calmly to the nearest exit and leave the building immediately. Do not use elevators, use stairwells when necessary. All handicapped occupants shall use the building evacuation plan. It is shared with Potter Evacs, but I can assure you that Silent Night used this script first. I do like this one. I do like how this one mentions that all handicapped occupants shall use the building evacuation plan, which in most places is just to remain at the area of rescue assistance, at the top of the nearest stairwell to them, and wait for emergency personnel to assist them with evacuation. Potter Evacs voice evacuation message. As mentioned earlier, this one shares the same script as the Silent Night message and repeats the exact same thing word for word, which I think is a nice way to use a voice evacuation message. But the only difference is the Porter Evac one uses a different voice actor than the Silent Night version, which is also good as it avoids anyone getting the two versions confused. Firelight voice evacuation message. This one is a shorter one, but it does leave out the one thing that other messages include, which is the part about not using the elevator. I believe this was done on purpose, as this message could serve as something to be used in a one-story building. I do like how it ends with, "Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities," as it is important to never re-enter a building in a fire emergency. Firelight. Oh no, not to fire. Voice evacuation message. The script on this one says, "May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? There has been a fire alarm reported in the building. There has been a fire alarm reported in the building. Please proceed to the stairways and exit the building. Do not use elevators, but proceed to the stairways and exit the building." Now, I wasn't sure at first on why it specifically said fire alarm reported, but then I realized that it means that the warning of a potential fire has been triggered, but doesn't outright confirm the presence of an immediate fire, as this method keeps things neutral while urgent evacuation, which is something I like, as you do need to treat every fire alarm activation like it's real, but sometimes an emergency in a place like a high-rise building may call for an investigation to find the source of the alarm before evacuating everyone. Simplex Hotel voice evacuation message. Attention, attention, attention. A fire alarm signal has been received on your floor. The hotel staff and the fire department are responding to the alarm. You should check the exit corridor for any evidence of smoke or fire. If there is evidence of either smoke or fire, immediately walk to the nearest stairway exit located on either end of the floor. Do not use elevators. I repeat, do not use elevators. Exit down the nearest stairway to the exterior of the building. Once out of the building, stay clear of all doors and driveways. Do not re-enter the building until directed to by proper authorities. So, as you can see here, Simplex has its way of making voice evacuation messages be way too long, and this one, seen mainly in Roblox fire alarm testing hotel server, has a minor flaw. Why go into the hallway if you see evidence of smoke or fire in that hallway? You're checking for smoke or fire. I know for a fact you should stay in your room and place a wet towel under your door if smoke or fire is right outside. Now, if the smoke or fire was inside your room, then you'd want to leave the room and entire building. Your locked safe path voice evacuation message. May I have your attention, please? A fire emergency has been reported in the building. While this is being verified, please leave the building by the nearest exit. Do not use the elevators. This one is short and straight to the point, which is something I prefer when it comes to voice evacuation messages. I consider this one as one of my favorite voice evacuation messages. Australian voice evacuation message. Emergency. Evacuate now. Evacuate as directed. Evacuate as directed. This is another short but completely useful voice evacuation message, as it gets right to the point of what's going on and tells people to evacuate. Westfield Shopping Center voice evacuation message. Attention please. Attention please. This is a fire safety announcement. Please leave away from this area immediately. Please follow all instructions given to you by center management staff. Please be aware of the descending smoke curtains. This message was played in a video that showcased a fire breaking out at a place in the UK known as Westfield Shopping Center, and the video was posted to YouTube on the 13th of November 2017. This message played almost immediately as the fire broke out, and people who were nearby started running out the area to evacuate the building. London's train station voice evacuation message. Attention please. Due to a reported emergency, will all passengers leave the station immediately. This message, and many other variants, are played in train stations in London if a fire emergency were detected within the station. And before this one plays, it plays an Inspector Sounds message, which tells station staff to report to a certain location where the alarm had been triggered, and allows them to check for any signs of smoke or fire. If any signs of such a thing existed, then the message above will be played. So, yeah, that'll do it for this video. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.